Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of the cartoon Flashback HD, filmed in 1080p and 60 frames per second. And I want to first of all thank the nostalgia critic Doug Walker for kind of inspiring me to do this one. Recently, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Doug did a second edition of his WTR Was That Real segment. And in the second edition, he talked about Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa. Now, I think it's kind of common knowledge by now that Doug watched the show back when it came out. You gotta remember the show came out in 1992, and Doug was about 12 years old. So making me 13, but you get the idea. So me and him being around the same age range, or at least the same generation, growing up in that same, basically in the generation of the 80s and 90s, you know, like Doug, I did watch Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa myself. Now, I didn't watch it as much as I would like to. It was kind of in the same situation as with Sonic. You see, for those that don't know, long story short, my family was moving a lot in the 90s, and in 1992, 1993, I did catch glimpses of certain shows that I would try to catch up on years later. One of them was Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa. Now, did I initially watch it and that was my dog, she's scratching herself there. Now, did I initially watch Cowboys of Moo Mesa when it was on ABC? Of course I did. In fact, I used to have a variety tape I started using back in 1993 when I moved back to Kansas. 1994, when I moved back to Kansas during the summer and all that to record some of the episodes of Wild West Cowboys. But after that, well, didn't see them ever again. Now, Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa, I don't know if it reappeared in syndication somewhere afterwards or not, but after ABC's run with it from 1992 to basically 1994, it went off the air, and like I said, I don't know if it got picked up by by some kind of syndicated block or something. I don't really know. But it ran for basically 2 seasons. So it was there. The second season was around when Sonic SatAM came about, and that's basically how some people got introduced to it. Me, I think that's sort of how I got introduced to it as well, but not initially. I think initially was the year before, because there were some other shows that me and my sisters would watch. Yeah, my sisters would still watch Saturday morning cartoons, and I think one of the shows that my older sister would watch at the time, because it still had its Saturday morning time slot, and there were still episodes that were being made for it, was Darkwing Duck. So she would watch that along with Goof Troop, and then of course you had Cowboys of Moo Mesa. And that's, like I said, how I got introduced to Cowboys of Moo Mesa. And like I mentioned, like with Sonic and some other shows, I sporadically would watch it every now and then because of of the situation me and my family were in. You know, we would move from here to there, you name it. We would live with my grandparents. We would try to have our own place. It was just a complete and utter mess. So, anyway, fast forward to about 1994. I move out to Kansas to be with my dad due to personal reasons. And I ended up catching up on Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa on ABC, along with some other shows like Sonic SatAM, just to name a few. And by catching up with them, I get an idea of who the characters are. I get an idea of, what the plot's about. And like a lot of people, I actually did enjoy the show. I did enjoy it. I really liked it. I like the fact that I like the fact that they got a second season, which was good, and getting a second season back then. Hold on for a sec. And like I said, getting a second season back then. Like I said, getting the second season back then was pretty huge. I mean, you were lucky at times, if you were really good, to get like a third or fourth season. Take a look at X-Men, if you will, and Spider-Man on Fox, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Heck, take a look at Ninja Turtles, on CBS, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And so yeah, anyway, ABC, though, would only allow certain shows to go beyond maybe 2 seasons, maybe 3 or 4. But they were mainly in that 2 to 3 season deal. So anyway, like I said, I was kind of happy it got a second season because, it allowed a lot of people like myself to really catch up on the show. Because not only did it air the newer episodes for season 2, but it would also rerun season 1 episodes as well. Sonic SatAM did the same thing. After season 2 did its initial run, it would rerun all the episodes as well, depending on what ABC station still carried them. I think my ABC station out in Kansas did as well, but I was in high school, and of course, there were times it would come on and I would be asleep in my room, or I'd try to get up and watch it, and the rest is history. But still, that's what they did. And I think maybe ABC did bring back Cowboys of Moo Mesa after in '94. Hold on for a sec. Like I said, I think ABC brought back Cowboys of Moo Mesa for a short run during the summer, I think, in '94. I'm not really sure. And I think that's how other people caught up with it as well. But it really wasn't until about 1998 when Toon Disney came to be that from 1998 to about 2002 initially, Cowboys of Moo Mesa ran regularly on Toon Disney, and I think they ran regularly on the Saturday, the weekends. I think they ran on the weekends, and they were also one of the shows that Toon Disney would marathon for a couple of hours, just like Cartoon Network would take a show and marathon it for about 3 hours. Disney did the same thing with their show. Toon Disney did the same thing with their shows. And initially, Toon Disney would take every now and then the Cowboys of Moo Mesa and run about maybe 4 episodes during a marathon, because that was basically their marathon. It was a 2-hour marathon, maybe 3, but it was mostly 2 hours. And sometimes they would even air them if they had a theme they were going for that month or for that weekend. If it was a Wild West theme, Cowboys of Moo Mesa would be up there. So, like I said, for about 3 to 4 years, Toon Disney kept it as part of its lineup. Nowadays, though, the only way you could ever see Cowboys of Moo Mesa is through places like YouTube, Dailymotion, torrents, or going to people like, say, Mr80s.com, or going to iOffer and purchasing DVD recordings, whether or not they were original airings, repeats shown on Toon Disney, brought together through torrents or clips put on YouTube, whatever. Those would be the only ways you could ever really watch the show again. And like for me, and like I said, for me, I actually enjoyed it. I really did. And what the interesting fact about Cowboys of Moo Mesa, which some people may not know, is it actually had 3 production companies on it. 2 during the first season, and 1 during the second season. Which is why when you watch nostalgia critic Doug Walker's review, his WTR episode on it, he kind of looks at it like he kind of looks at the animation for season 2, and as he puts it, looks like it kind of downgraded, kind of look like it took a crap on it or something, and it's not that, if you will. It's more along the lines of the fact that when the first season came out, they put the animation was good because you had 2 production companies. When you have 1 production company, the animation may not be as good, but it's semi-decent. And another thing about having a different production company is you also get redesigns or slight alterations for the characters in design, if you will. You know, when King's World, and I can't think of the other production company that worked with them, when they did the first season, the character designs for someone like, say, Calamity Kate, you know, was basically, here's a very tomboyish cowgirl that don't take no, you know, crap from anybody. You know, she could basically wisecrack with the best of them, if you will. She can come up with snappy remarks with just like, you know, with the best of them. And, you know, she had very unique scenes. Come around to the second season, though, when Ruby Spears takes over, and her design gets a huge alteration. It's still the same kind of design, you know, like with the clothing and all that, but she becomes more feminine than her original design. She becomes more feminine to the point that she gets lipstick, her face is more pushed in, if you will, to give that feminine look. You know, it's not so cow-like, if you will. And I think they sort of did the same thing with Lily a bit. Lily Bovine, who was Moo Marshall's, or Marshall Moo, who's Moo Montana's love interest. So they did that basically, and I think that was one of the things you would notice if you initially watched the show during the second season. If you watched the show entirely when it was out, you would notice that happen. And this was not common. This was not common in animation, especially Saturday morning cartoon animation. Hold on for a second. You know, it wasn't uncommon in Saturday morning cartoon animation. The reason being is due to the fact that during Saturday mornings, whether it was in the 90s or the 80s, a studio would want to change things up about characters so that they would reflect that this is a new season for the show and these are new episodes, and that what you saw beforehand is in the past. That's the old season. That's, you know, that's in the past now. That's the old season. That's the old designs. No, that's the old season. That's the old designs. And that initially was basically the reason for a lot of shows like Cowboys of Moo Mesa like I said, that was the initial reason, in my opinion, why shows like Cowboy Moo Mesa, you know, Sonic Sat-AM, and even over on CBS with Ninja Turtles, about a year or so later, why characters would get redesigns or makeovers or something to kind of initialize the fact that it's a newer season. It's either got now a more lighter, if not darker tone, or a bit of a hybrid tone. That's basically why you had the shows the way they were. You know, that's why you had them the way they were in the second season. Why characters had those redesigns. Another reason as well was the fact that when Ruby Spears took over, they also wanted to put more focus on other villains. You know, you couldn't just go with the Masked Bull, aka Sheriff Terrible and all that, or the mayor and the minions. You couldn't just go with them all the time. You had to mix it up. And seeing as though one of the people working on the show worked on Ninja Turtles, that was obviously going to be the case, because as we saw in the second season, we had a whole bunch of new villains and villainesses, if you will. It was as well as some new characters, allies that came into being. True, we had some in the first season, but we got some more in the second season as well. But overall, depending on how you look at the Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa, whether you like the show or you don't, whether you find the concept ridiculous or you don't, Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa was actually one of those shows that still has a cult following to this day. The cult following may not be as, big as what Ninja Turtles has, or C.O.W.Boys has, or even maybe X-Men 1990s has, but it still has a decent sized following, to that if you even mention Moo Mesa or Cowboys of Moo Mesa, people will know what you're talking about. They might list off all the episodes, they might list off all the characters, they might say who the favorite character is. They'll list them all. They'll list them all. And don't be surprised if you ever go to one of the fur conventions or any kind of animation convention or wherever, and you don't see somebody dressed up as a character from the show. Because if at first it doesn't ring a bell, and they say, oh, and you meet up with some girl and she says, oh, I'm dressed as Calamity Kate from Calamity Kate. If the person knows about the show, knows who the character is, they'll be like, oh, you mean from Cowboys of Moo Mesa? There you go. So overall, when I look at Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa, I look at a show that definitely tried something different, tried to bring back that old Western feel with sort of a modern twist, to it at times. So I thought it was pretty good. And I look at a show that had a lot more potential, and obviously you could see it with them crossing over with other franchises like the Ninja Turtles and, in the comic books, and even doing a cameo appearance in one of the Fast Forward episodes. And like I said, as well as making cameos in some of their comics initially by, I think it was Image Comics at the time, and I think even IDW's done a few. But you could tell that there was potential to do more with this show, more with these characters. In fact, you got some people at fanfiction.net that are proving that as we speak. So overall, I do recommend, if you have not checked this episode out, go to YouTube, go to Dailymotion, heck, find a freaking torrent, go to Mr80s.com, try to get your hand, go to iOffer and try to get your hands on this show, or try to get a chance to watch it, because I guarantee you'll enjoy every episode. Now, are there some hiccups? Now, is every episode a masterpiece? Are there some hiccups? Oh yeah, there are some hiccups. Don't get me wrong. There are some episodes that really don't make any sense at times, or just on one of those episodes that you go like, what the blank am I watching? And you kind of get the idea. So anyway, I do recommend checking out Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa. It's one of those shows that, to me, really helped define what 1990s Saturday morning cartoons were. And, who knows? Maybe someone's going to someday revive them and bring them back in a all-new series that is either a continuation or a reboot of what we watched originally back in from 92 to 1994. So, with that said, folks, let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. I've got to get ready for work, and I'm out.